Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me on my newest town hall. Today, we're going to be talking about protecting workers during the coronavirus. Um, I want to make sure that you all know, all you essential workers and those deemed non-essential, although we're all essential, know what your rights are. And during this time, and can you stay home? Do you have to show up to work? And how can you find out those answers? So today I have Rob Bair. He is the business manager for Local 143 of the IBEW, and he is also the recording secretary for the Central PA Building Trades. Sorry. Rob is having some webcam issues, so I think when he talks, you're just going to see his name. So we'll get through this. And Rob, I really appreciate you being with me today. It's definitely an essential conversation to have right now. How long have you been involved with the unions?
33 years this year. I started my apprenticeship in 1987.
Wow. So you know it inside and out, I would imagine.
I've been the business manager here going on 12 years now. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Unions are definitely needed in our workplace today, and they are essential to protecting our workers from, I'm not going to say bad employers, but sometimes employers don't know everything that they should be doing, and it's nice to know that someone's got their back. So thank you for doing that.
We represent workers, and we're in the people business. And we truly believe that everybody should have a right to go to work and make a good living. We believe everybody should have the right to good health care and a good retirement. And we also believe everybody has a right to go home as healthy at the end of the day as when they started in the morning.
Absolutely. And sadly, not everybody has that opportunity. I wanted to have the intention was to have a labor attorney on as well to kind of handle the non-union employees, but that he had to be called away at the last minute. So we'll get to that on another town hall. But can you let us know like how the unions are protecting their workers right now during the coronavirus outbreak? And are you
Sure.
doing anything special for them, or how does that?
Yeah. Now, like for my international, we have negotiated with our contractors a national emergency pandemic agreement because a lot of our contractors and industry fall in are essential employees. We have to keep the power on to the people. We have to go. We have to keep the hospitals running. We have to keep the grocery stores running. We have to keep the food plants running. It's not an issue of are we going to go? It's we have to go.
Right.
But we also understand that we have members of this union that have circumstances at home that are have to be addressed. You may be taking care of elderly parents. You may be taking care of sick children. Your school has been shut down. Your daycare has been shut down. So we have allowed the members to voluntarily not go to work due to this coronavirus outbreak. And a lot of what we've done has mimicked some of the stimulus packages where you have to be able to take care of your children.
Right.
We have members that are single fathers, single mothers, and when the school shuts down and daycare shuts down, what do? You cannot leave your children home alone. So we've given a mechanism for them to stay at home. They're not going to be penalized for it. The employers aren't going to hold it against them. We have middle-aged members that are taking care of elderly parents.
Yeah.
As this population ages out, they always say it comes full circle. Your parents take care of you when you're a kid. Now, sometimes we have to take care of our parents. Well, you don't want to be working in an industry where you're exposed and you could take that home to somebody that has a lot of issues. The elderly population does need to be protected. So we wanted to make sure that all of our members had a mechanism to keep them and their families safe. Okay. On the jobs that we have currently going, the essential projects, we're having the contractors follow the CDC protocols. We're having them follow the guidelines from the Department of Health here in the state. You know, in the mornings when the guys get to work, there's normally a nurse or an EMT or somebody that's been hired that's in the medical industry. They're doing temperature scans of everybody before they get to the job. You know,
Oh,
when some of them were even doing the temperature scans in their cars in the parking lot. Okay.
yeah.
Then they always have the questionnaire every day. You know, have you been from anywhere other than your house to the job? Have you had any potential possible exposures? Has any of your children, anybody you've acted with, had any potential possible exposures? We've upped the sanitary requirements on the jobs. We have hand wash stations, antibacterial soap. Uh, and one of the things we've worked with is getting more hand wash stations because, like hand sanitizer, we don't want to take that from the healthcare professionals. They have to have it.
Right.
So there is ways to do this. You can put hand washing stations in the field, you know, so that the guys can have them. The areas that the men go for breaks, we've added more job trailers. We're keeping the separation distances. We're working staggered breaks, staggered lunches, so that you don't have men grouping together, you know.
Yeah.
And our contractors have been all very good about just voluntarily putting those systems in place. You know, we in the IBEW, we're pretty fortunate. We have a really good relationship with our contractors, and our contractors value our people too, because you know we always said you can't make money if you don't have people out there turning wrenches. Okay, you got to keep those people safe. You need them when this is over. You know,
Absolutely.
we have to maintain the power on this grid system. You probably saw in the paper there was a lot of concern about having the outage down at Limerick.
Hmm.
And is it a valid concern that we have a lot of people coming from a lot of areas to move in there? Yes. Is that an essential project? Absolutely. You can only push an outage off so long, and then the reactor doesn't become efficient. We have to refuel. That power has to be back up online and onto that grid because we also have other plants in the future being taken down. And if we don't maintain this power grid, if we do not maintain our electrical output, we're going to be in a lot worse shape than we are right now. We have,
Yeah.
as going into spring, it's normally a lower time of power usage. Well, a lot of our businesses are shut down, but now we're seeing a lot of people at home, a lot of people needing heat, a lot of people needing air conditioning across this country. Your kids are at home, you're doing distance learning, you got to have the electric, you got to have the internet. So, you know, we cannot just magically say we're going to shut down. We have to mitigate the risk, but we take a lot of pride in the fact that we do go when we're needed. And when you turn that light switch on, you'll have your power.
Yeah, and everything relies on power. Like you were saying, you went through the list, but I mean, you're talking about our grocery stores and I mean, just absolutely everything that we're relying on right now. And if we lose that electricity, we're in a lot of trouble. So I really appreciate you and all your men being out there every day, putting yourself in harm's way, possibly with this virus, and doing the job to make us work. I mean, it's you can't understate how dangerous it is really on any given day, I would imagine, working with electricity. But when you throw the virus in, it's really scary. And I appreciate that you guys thought ahead and took care of those workers that have to be at home, because we can't call in babysitters right now. We can't call in anybody to sit with our parents if we're taking care of them. It falls on us. So it's nice to know that you guys thought ahead and prepared for that, and that those workers who are in those situations are taken care of. I appreciate that.
Well, one of the big advantages of belonging to an organized labor force like ours is we do have a good relationship and a partnership with our contractors. And that's pretty much everybody in the construction industry and as organized labor as a whole. So when something like this happens, instead of one person trying to come up with an idea, we have a collaborative effort between us, our men, our employers, our internationals, our
Yeah.
big national contractor associations and say, look, what can we do here? Because at the end of the day, the contractors need our members and our members need our contractors. So everybody that's in our industry is very familiar with the problems. And, you know, when you talk about healthcare, when you talk about taking care of elderly, when you talk about just protecting your family,
Yeah.
they all hold it very near and dear. And the advantage is we can put an emergency call together just like we're doing here. And we can say, okay, we got to keep these jobs open. We have the people that we can send. We have the people that need to be off. What can we do as a whole to make sure we take care of our people? That is the one big advantage of having a membership in a labor union.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys, you know, I think sometimes I get frustrated with some of the, you know, anti-labor talk that you hear out there, you know, but I can tell you from experience, you know, I was in a job where I was not covered by union because I was management, and boy, I had some serious issues that I couldn't get resolved because I didn't have anybody fighting for me. And, you know, I know there's a graphic that goes around, I've shared it many times, you know, all the things that union has accomplished for workers that non-union workers benefit from today, you know, paid sick leave, holidays, a 40-hour work week. All those things are thanks to labor. And, you know, when you come to a crisis like this, you guys really step up and you see the power of it and how really grateful I'm sure your guys are for being a member. And your
They
girls,
are.
not just guys.
Uh, you know what? That's one other thing about organized labor. We are the very diversified workforce.
Yeah.
You know, the IBEW has many diversity inclusion programs. We have our Minority Workers Electrical Caucus, we have the Women in the Electric Minority Workers Caucus, and it's really uh, it's really gratifying to see that within organized labor, we have that blind eye that we look at everybody as
Right.
an essential part of our union.
Yeah.
You know, and we do everything we can to take care of every individual member.
Yeah.
And
It shows.
in an instance such as this, you know, it's nice knowing that your health care is there when you need it.
Yes.
You know that you're not going to lose your home due to having to be off a month.
Yeah.
That your children are going to be able to have food on the table. There'll be a roof over their head. And we take a lot of pride in that fact. We take a lot of pride in the fact that, you know, when members join a union, we're here to help them. We're here to represent them. We're here to listen to their problems. We're here to listen to what they need. And we want to work with our employers to be able to make sure that that can happen. And when you look around this country at a lot of these emergency field hospitals being set up,
Yeah.
a lot of those people and those hospital networks, who did they go to? They went to the building trades.
Right.
To get the contractors to do that. They needed manpower. They needed to get them up and running. And those guys answered the call.
Yeah.
You know, they take a lot of pride in that fact that when that bell rings, they're there, you
Yeah.
know, and they still don't ever lose sight of the fact that we are always actively trying to make everybody's workplace better. You know, there's a lot of workers in this country that are unrepresented, and
Yep.
that's just the nature of the beast. But as you said, the 40-hour work week, paid vacations, paid holidays, paid sick days, having employers held to the FMLA, okay,
Yep.
those are things that organized labor has promoted throughout,
Yeah.
and the benefit rolls downhill. You know, we really have learned a lot in this last 3 weeks, you know, and I hope the American people did too, because a lot of the people that we have considered disposable employees, from that 16-year-old kid bagging groceries around a
Yeah.
register at a grocery store, now we've realized how essential those employees actually are.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
instead of everybody saying nobody deserves working in a part-time job in a grocery store deserves to make more minimum wage, well, maybe we really need to rethink that position now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to rethink that position. I mean, I think if nothing else, this coronavirus crisis and this situation has shown us that every single employee, no matter what they do and no matter how much they make, is essential. Like it's like you said, we are depending now on those people who most likely are out there making less than the $15 an hour, or who most likely are making minimum wage. And that really shows us that, you know, they're out there making minimum wage, but they're showing up every single day to do the job so that we can survive.
Yes, they
So,
are.
yeah. So if your employees uh, need to stay home, or they want to stay home for whatever reason, do they have to go through any specific process? Do they have to talk to anybody in particular to get that done?
They just have to let the employer know,
Okay.
and that's really about it. You know, they, our employers, and I'm blessed in Harrisburg. I have a ton of wonderful, wonderful employers that my guys work for.
Yeah.
They all have families. They all have children. They all understand the issues that we're facing right now.
Yeah.
And they've actually been very proactive in reaching out to us saying, okay, I might have 25 or 30 that have to be home, and they can come to the union hall to find temporary replacement workers to answer that call. You know, um, that gives our employers a sense of security too, knowing that when that phone rings at 2 a.m. and somebody has to go, they're going to have somebody to go. They're going to have a highly skilled, trained electrician to go and take care of the problem.
Right.
And that's really where it is a very symbiotic relationship between us and our employers. And that's why we have to work together. The employers know we have people that have issues that have to be taken care of. They can't go to work.
Yeah.
Well, if you're an open shop contractor, and even if half your employees get sick, how do you try and hire qualified people in that instance in a hurry?
Especially right now.
Right. But
Yeah.
yet we can do everything we can possibly do to find those guys to go to work. And that's happening in a lot of places around this country right now as we speak.
Yeah.
There again, take the job at Limerick. They've manned that. They've got the people. There's probably been guys that would like to go there. They have issues, have situations that they can't, but they found workers to come in, and skilled workers, highly trained, highly skilled IBEW members, to get down there and support that outage, because that place has to run.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other big advantages for our union employers. They don't have to try and hire. They don't have to do interviews. They pick up the phone and call and say, Rob, I need 10 more journeyman wiremen.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get you 10 journeyman wiremen.
Right. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier on their end for sure. What steps are you requiring the employers do, or asking the employers to do for those guys that are showing up every day? I know you mentioned like staggering breaks and staggering lunch times, checking temperatures, but are they required to do anything like, now the debate is masks or no masks, gloves, that sort of thing? Are they doing anything special like that on the jobs?
That actually is really dependent on the job they're on. As long as we maintain the social distancing, as long as we're not in the big groups, as long as we're doing the pre-scans every morning. One of the things that we've discussed with our employers is there's times in the industry we have to have mask on, but instead of us taking an N95 mask that we would normally use, a lot of the employers have donated those to healthcare. We have the ability to still use what's known as a half-face respirator. which if you've seen pictures of people painting cars, the
Yes.
big ugly looking thing they wear in their face with two canisters off the side.
Yes.
Okay, we will use those in instances where we need a protection. Maybe it's overkill in our industry, but instead of taking the masks that are desperately and direly needed from the healthcare industry,
Yeah.
we have ways to work around that. You know, it's just like at the nuclear powerhouses. We have the ability down there to put all the guys in what's known as PAPRs, powered air purifying respirators, which can be sanitized, can be reused multiple times.
Right.
So our contractors are very cognizant of the fact that we need to keep our employees safe, but they're also cognizant of the fact that, you know, the healthcare workers need this right now in the front lines.
Yeah.
So they work with us and say, what can we do? And I haven't had any of them. None of my employers have ever balked at having to buy more expensive equipment for our guys to keep them safe.
That's awesome. And you had mentioned earlier about your apprenticeship programs. Can you just explain what they are?
Yeah, our apprenticeship programs in the building trades, like for us, young man or woman applies for our program. They take an aptitude test. If they score a certain level, then they get called in for interviews. Each year, we select anywhere from 10 to 20 applicants. It's a 5-year apprenticeship program. Once they're selected, from day one, they're placed with an employer and they go to work. Our first year apprentices go to night school. And then when they're second, third, fourth, and fifth year, they go one day every other week, all day to our training center. The whole time they're still working, they're getting paid by the employers.
Mm-hmm.
After their first 3 months, they have the same health care as all our journeymen.
Wow.
Medical, dental, eye care, prescription. Once they have their first year of unindentured apprenticeship in, when they start their second year apprenticeship, they are then enrolled into the retirement benefits. They receive the pension, the annuity, the NEBF pension, which is a contractor-sponsored pension, and the pension plan from the international also. So they're getting the same benefits as a journeyman wireman while they're an apprentice. Through our apprenticeship, we pay jointly between all the actual journeymen and our employers. They split the cost, and the program is solely funded by that. It costs the apprentices nothing. They pay for none of their.
Wow.
Yeah, it's free. The only thing the apprentices are required to provide, which every journeyman wireman had to, we give them a list of tools, basic tools they need to provide when they start work. And most of those tools, if they take care of them, will last them a long time. I can say for a fact that I have my original lineman's pliers from the day I started, which is amazing. I didn't burn them up or blow them up.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
But you know, the apprenticeship program is a really wonderful path to the middle class of this country. They can make a very good middle class living working with their hands. Now, like my program specifically, you have to have at least 1 year of algebra to apply. In the electrical industry, you do work with a lot of math. And if you have the basic algebra skills and you pass, we can teach you everything else. Our apprenticeship program is designed to take somebody that's very unskilled in the electrical industry and turn them into a completely skilled electrician when we're done. My lineman apprenticeship programs are much the same way. I can speak for my fitter brethren from the UA here in Harrisburg Local Union 520. Scotty Chris is a business manager over there. Great union for any young man or woman that would want to be a plumber, a pipe fitter, or welder.
Yeah.
They're structured much the same way as we are. You know, Mike Ford, that was scheduled to be on here for sheet metal worker local 19,
Yeah.
basically structured the same way. All of them are carpenters, iron workers, boiler makers. The building trades apprenticeship programs are, I say all the time, they're probably the best kept secret in the country right now. For a kid that doesn't have the ability to pay for a 4-year college,
Right.
but he has a drive to want to learn, he has a work ethic, and he wants to make a good, solid middle class living, here's a real good way to do it.
Oh, absolutely. When do you start taking applications? Is that usually at the end of the year?
We take applications all year round, but
Okay,
each year the cutoff for that year's selection is usually April. Now this year everything's going to be kind of be pushed back because I can't have my training center open right now.
right.
But normally we cut them off in April. We do the uh, aptitude test all year long as we get 10 or 15. We normally conduct interviews late May, and normally June is when we start our new class of apprentices and put them on the job.
Awesome. So if somebody's interested in doing that or signing up or at least talking to somebody, is there a centralized location or would they?
Yeah, yes, there is. You can
Okay.
go to IBEW Local 143.org, which is our website, and there's a drop down menu, hit apprenticeship opportunities. Our training center, we just purchased and totally renovated a building here in Harrisburg. Our training center in Harrisburg for my whole geographic area is located at 1800 State Street. If you got any questions, you can call. There's a phone number there. It has a menu that can go through that you can answer probably 95% of all the questions anybody would have about the application process. The training director is over there quite often. The instructors, of course, are there all the time. It's really not a very hard process, to apply. It's and pretty much all the building trades apprenticeship programs have links on their websites to their training programs, so
Okay.
you know how to apply. The one thing that we take a tremendous amount of pride in our apprenticeship programs is, one, we're investing a lot of money into our apprentices, but our apprentices are treated with respect, they're treated with dignity, and they are taught not a job, but they are given a career when they're done. Okay, you have a lifelong skill that will always give you the ability to take care of your family.
Yep.
And like with our healthcare here, our apprentices, I have apprentices that are like I was, the 18-year-old kid that started. I have apprentices that start later. I have apprentices that might already have a wife and 2 children. Well, our healthcare coverage is family coverage. So
Wow.
once they become eligible, after that initial 3 months, their wife and their kids are 100% covered in their healthcare.
Yeah.
Which how many other industries do that?
Oh, exactly. And that's, that obviously, again, somehow everything keeps coming back to this situation we're in. That goes to show you how important that is.
It is. The other thing that this country has lost sight of a lot of these years is preparing for retirement.
Yeah.
And, if you're the type of person that's disciplined enough to, as they say in the industry, pay yourself first and fund your 401k that your employer offers and max it out and have the match, that's great.
Yeah.
But the sad reality in this country is probably 90% of the people that are in the workforce, they don't have that kind of money to do that.
Right.
Working with a labor organization such as the IBEW, and here in Harrisburg specifically, we take care of that for you. You're paid a negotiated wage. Everybody gets paid the same rate. Your health care, your pensions are paid from your employers out of your collectively bargained wage back to us.
Yeah.
And we're taking care of your pensions. We're taking care of your annuities so that when retirement comes, it's there.
Yeah.
One of the other things that's an advantage for our big employers, for an open shop employer that wants to try and provide health care for their employees, that's a big burden on an employer.
Yeah, it is.
For our employers, we take that off of them. We're managed by our trust funds, and we have a jointly managed trust fund of 3 union members, 3 contractors. So our contractors know that all they need to do is send that benefit check once a month
Yep.
to the hall, and the health care for all their employees is taken care of. They don't need to worry about doing 401s for all their field personnel. That's taken care of.
Yeah.
Defined benefit plan is taken care of. So it takes a burden off the employers too.
Yeah, I mean, the benefits just go on and on and on. They really do. I'm definitely a strong supporter of everything that you guys do, and appreciate how you protect our workers every day. And, I think sometimes it's kind of easy to take things for granted when things are going well. But when you wake up one day and you're in the middle of a health pandemic, you really see quickly who's got your back and who doesn't. And I think it's clear from everything you've covered today that you guys have definitely gone above and beyond to make sure that your workers are taken care of, and also your employers that you work with. So I really appreciate that. And, thank you for being on here, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are questioning, what they can and can't do right now. And if they are members of a union, reach out to their employer, or someone in the union. Would they reach out to their steward, or who would they?
They can reach out to the job steward, or what we tell our members. Our phone number has not changed in, my God, I think 80 years. All they have to do is call in here.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. We've always said we have an open door policy. There's always going to be somebody that's going to pick up that phone and answer a member's question. So they know we're here for them. But what I would encourage for anybody that might be listening to this that maybe doesn't have the benefit of working under a collectively bargained agreement,
Yep.
with all the stimulus packages that have been put out, a very good resource is the United States Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division. There again, you can go to usdol.gov. You can click on Wage and Hour Division. There's a drop-down menu that has a really wonderful frequently asked question page, which addresses a ton of employees' concerns related to specifically Stimulus Package 2 and Stimulus Package 3 on the 2 weeks of mandatory health care for employers under 500.
Mm-hmm.
It also addresses the 10 additional weeks of FMLA paid at 2/3 their rate for taking care of children or family members.
Right.
It addresses how the $600 that would be added to the people that lost their jobs through no fault of their own to help them get them through this.
Yeah.
So anybody that doesn't have the resources of a union hall, please go to Department of Labor, go to the Wage and Hour Division. Any questions you have, I actually perused it yesterday evening very late when Mike asked me when he couldn't be here.
Yeah.
I actually pulled it up at home and I was reading it in quite good detail. And it's actually a very informative, very helpful page.
Very good. Thank you so much. I'll put that, if anybody's watching, I'll put that in the comments, the link to that website. And Rob, if you want, I can put a link to you guys as well, for people who are interested in getting more information on that too. So
Sure.
Awesome. Look for that, guys. I'll have it in the comment section. And for those of you who aren't covered, I'm sorry I couldn't have my labor attorney on today. I will try to pick that up a different day for a different town hall. But if you have immediate needs that the website doesn't cover, I would just recommend reaching out to a labor attorney to try to get some advice on whatever question you have. I know it's difficult to get through to the state, but try that avenue as well.
Well, and I will tell you, there is a link and a phone number on the Wage and Hour Division page also, and they are open in Washington.
Okay.
It could be a little frustrating, but there again, our government employees are truly, truly doing everything they can to keep this country functional.
Yeah.
The same as our AFSCME members here working for the state of Pennsylvania. I know that it's been very frustrating with our members and even our non-members who are trying to get unemployment.
Yes.
If somebody would have told me 25 years ago that I would have saw 700,000 unemployment claims filed in a week in Pennsylvania, I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah.
I want everybody to know those hardworking men and women that are working for the state of Pennsylvania, They're there every day. They are doing their best. And I know the Secretary of Labor, Jerry Lesniak, is trying to get more people on. Jerry's been doing a wonderful job down there. His Assistant Deputy Secretary, Bobby O'Brien, is the same thing, working 16, 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
They want to take care of the workers in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I understand that people are getting frustrated, and I know they want immediate answers, don't have them. But what I can say unequivocally is they are making every human possible attempt to get people money.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and thanks for bringing that up, because it's every single person's situation is a crisis to them. But if you stop and think how many people are in the exact same situation that you are right now, that number is enormous just in our state. And like you said, our unemployment system and none of this was set up to handle the volume of claims that they have right now and the volumes of phone calls that are coming into the state. So you're exactly right. It's not that they're not doing their job, because I saw a comment on Facebook, that they're not doing enough, they're not doing their jobs, people are, can't get through. Well, it's overloaded, and it's not because they're not doing their jobs, it's just because there's an enormous amount of people trying to get through at one time.
Well, and let's not forget that it's only been probably 5 years ago that the legislature in Pennsylvania chose not to actually fund that department properly. And we had a lot of people that work for the unemployment compensation department, and a lot of those call centers closed down.
That's right.
So what I would encourage everyone to do that's listening to this, call your elected representative and demand that the legislative branch in Harrisburg, after this is over, decides to work on a bill that actually fully funds Department of Labor and the Unemployment Compensation Department.
Yeah.
So that we don't have this again. And as I had a very long discussion with my wife the other night, instead of passing blame around on what went wrong or how it could have been avoided, I would hope that our elected leaders in Washington, D.C. after this, on both sides of that aisle, come up with a plan to truly fund the CDC properly, to truly fund our infectious disease crisis response teams permanently, and we give them the independent autonomy to work outside of the political realm, so that when this does happen again, and what we've learned is it probably will.
Yes.
We are prepared for it. We have a mechanism in place to mitigate immediately. And when this incident comes around again, the American people and the American worker can be prepared and can be taken care of much quicker than we are now.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to put it, because emergencies are called emergencies because they're unexpected.
Right.
And so, if you're not planning for the unexpected, you're going to be caught in a situation where you're completely unprepared. And if they start taking money out of these programs and these services, like you said, this is a perfect example of what's going to happen. So
yeah,
I agree with you. I think pointing the finger for blame really doesn't do any good right now. The only thing it does well is to show where we need to make improvements, and then they have to start to learn to work together to get that done.
There's a lot of things that are happening in a country and in the state of Pennsylvania right now that should not be part of any type of partisan politics at all. And I would hope that every single person that's down there on that hill is watching this unfold.
Yes.
And, one of the things we do every day on our jobs is we normally have a job site safety briefing. And if you've had an accident, you do an investigation and you have a discussion on how that accident happened and how it could be prevented and what factors led to it and how you do the mitigation of it ever happening again.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope that our elected leaders are watching this and saying, maybe, just maybe, and I know this sounds like a staggering number, but in the grand scheme of things in the federal government's not, $50 billion to actually fund the CDC properly. and maybe an additional $50 billion to have those infectious disease crisis response teams always up and ready at a moment's notice
Yep.
would be a really good expenditure, and make it a permanent expenditure.
Yeah, absolutely. And quit playing games.
Yeah.
You know, it's this us versus them is really not helpful on any given day, but it's especially not helpful in terms of crisis. And I think it's time that they all set aside that pettiness and realize that they're not in grade school anymore, and that we're all adults and we need to work together. And just because we have different ideas doesn't mean we can't come together for a solution. So
You know what we like to say in labor, don't you?
what's
There's
that?
a reason why every couple of years we have what's known as negotiations. And I think the politicians could learn that very well.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in politics is negotiations.
Yep.
And if you're going to go into it completely one-sided, you're always going to have winners and you're always going to have losers.
Yep.
And when you have one side always losing, that's actually bad for labor. That's bad for our contractors. That's really bad for our country right now.
It is.
Okay. They need to learn to sit down and maybe disagree on some things,
Yep.
but negotiate legislation that actually does what the American people need it to do and what the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania needs to do for the constituents here.
I could not say it any better. That's you're 100% right, and I really hope they get that message. And if they don't, I hope the voters remember that come November.
Well, that is the one thing that we have in our system that is absolutely outstanding.
Yep.
The people of this country and the citizens and the constituents of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania always have an opportunity to change their elected officials.
That's right.
And I encourage them, just like here, please call your state rep, call your state senator,
Yeah.
explain to them that you need that unemployment compensation fund and that labor and industry funded so that when this happens, we can process claims, we can get checks out the door to
Yep.
people that need them. There's people that need to buy groceries.
Oh yeah.
There's people that need to buy diapers.
Yeah.
We have people that have rent payments coming due, and let's and, you know, I'm always one of them that when I need to call somebody out, I will. But I also want to say, Josh Shapiro has done a really good job. Eugene D. Pasquale has done a really good job making it that we're not going to evict people that lost their job due to the coronavirus crisis. You know,
Yep.
they're looking out for every single person in Pennsylvania. And I know they get vilified for a lot because everybody likes to scream when they do something wrong, but people don't like to applaud some people when they do something right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give both those men a shout out that they're doing very good. Dr. Levine is doing a wonderful job too.
Yes. Amazing.
You know, so I understand people are frustrated. I understand people are scared.
Yeah.
I get that. But cut our people down there some slack. They're working every day for our benefit.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me, and you did it on such short notice, and that's amazing. Thank you so much. And like I said, thanks for doing everything to keep our workers safe. And, you know, we definitely appreciate everything that you all do for us, and your workers for keeping the lights on, and all those essential workers out there helping us live one day to the next, because we have no clue how long this is going to go on. And every day that goes by, those essential workers become more and more essential. So
I appreciate the opportunity, and if you ever need anything, just give us a call.
thank you so much.
All right. You have a good day and stay safe.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.